health begins by thinking good thoughts. You stay healthy by staying positive as much as you can. Well, I'm first a businessman and I'm second a chef. Let's put it that way. I'm motivated and driven because I really feel that I have a responsibility to keep the legacy of what my mother have gathered in my heart and life. At the age of 13 years old, I saw my mother leave the house early one morning about 6 o'clock, and she was going to work, catching a bus, and it was raining outside. And I stood there at the door, with tears in my eyes, crying my heart out because my mother worked so hard. And I said, I'm gonna do something today to help my mom, I've got to. I left that morning looking for a job. I walked from Carver Court Housing Project all the way to downtown area called Lake Eola. There was a hotel called the Cherry Plaza Hotel. And I had probably went to about 15 different locations looking for a job. And in those days, nobody was hiring. And I saw this tall chef, he was a Swiss guy. And he was walking to the back of this side of the hotel. And I'm walking out with my head up, and I just tell you how God works in your life. I look at this man coming by there, and I turn around at him. I said, Chef, I need a job. He turned around at me. He said, young man, I have no job. I held my head down for a second, and I held it back up and said, I'll work for you for 1 week. You don't have to pay me a dime if I could just show you what I can do. He came back out of the hotel. He looked at me. He said, come on. And he hired me as a prep cook. I used to come in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I had 10 bags of onions to peel, 5 bags of potatoes, and that was a prep cook in those days. That's what I did. But I was born with a gift. My gift was I could take a potato and carve a nice little frog out of it. I could take a squash and make a head. I always came in an hour early, and I stayed an hour late. Because I gave God the glory, I had a job. My first paycheck I brought home to my mother was $13.87. I can see it like it was today. And she was so just blown away with that. 6 months later was my 14th birthday. On my birthday, the chef called me up because he knew I was there, 6:15 in the morning. He said, Johnny Rivers' son, I want you to take over breakfast today. I said, but chef, I never cook breakfast. He said, Johnny Rivers' son, I know you can do it. He said, I've watched you. You always here early, you stay late, you help everybody. You're the most creative young man I've ever seen in my life. He said, please don't let me down. He said, I really need you today. Take charge of that. Anyhow, I took over breakfast that morning. I said, okay, chef, if you say I can do it, I'll do it. And I cooked food that day without one hiccup. All out of cart, over 450 people. And later on, I went to Europe, trained to be a chef, and opened up my own business. I had a catering business and I had a janitorial business, and heard about them building this Disney World. International Drive only had one hotel when they started. It was called the Hilton Inn. And Disney leased that hotel out for 2 or 3 years, and they was building the theme parks. And they called me to cater an event there. I heard about my little catering company thing. I was really getting a lot of good press. And I catered a function there, and I would guess that maybe about a week and a half later, they called me back to do the second one. They hadn't had their kitchen established yet, and I catered the second party for a larger number, and they made me an offer to work at Walt Disney World. This one guy who believed in me was always talking about that young man is very talented there. His name was Jim Armstrong. They promoted me to executive chef of a small hotel called the Disney Inn. That was Disney Golf Resort at the time. Disney Inn became Disney's first 5-star hotel. In about a year and a half, I got promoted back to the Polynesian Hotel. I was at the Polynesian Hotel for about 3 years. It became a high-class hotel. They promoted to the flagship hotel at the time, which was the Contemporary Hotel. I was there for about 3 years, and then I got promoted to corporate executive chef for Walt Disney World Resorts. And went to California and worked with the Imagineers, and we started entering these culinary shows. We were asked to really put Disney on the map. The company was known more for theme parks, not resorts. So we entered all these competitions. I don't know whether you all know it, but there's world competitions with chefs. That's like there is sports. Every 4 years there's a competition. And it happens in different parts of the world. But we started a Disney team, and we won the World Olympics for about 2 or 3 times. And we couldn't enter any more shows there, and we became very well known as the premier, quote unquote, resort of the culinary industry. After 25 years with Disney, I got burned out of the travel. I was traveling 300,000 miles a year, and I decided to go ahead and retire from Disney. And Darden Restaurant had made me an offer to do some consulting with them, and then they may offer me a full-time job as president of New Business Development, and I just didn't want to work for another company. So I made them an offer as a consultant to work with them, and I worked with them and with the development of Bahama Breeze and Smoky Bones, and we did a Red Lobster 2000, redid that for them. From there, I just took off and started doing my own thing. Johnny Rivers Smokehouse, Shank Smokehouse. I had a great concept downtown that some of you might know it, in a hotel called Embassy Suite, called Conquer Me Crazy. I'm a Conquer Me Crazy nut. And when I first opened my first restaurant, I had completed the consulting with Darden's. And the restaurant on West Colonial Drive used to be an old Red Lobster. And Blaine Sweat, who was the president of New Business Development, he and I worked together on all this new stuff. And he said that I should take that restaurant that we did as a prototype for Smoky Bones, and I should change that to, I had it Shank Smokehouse, and they told me you should put your name on that, Johnny Rivers, because your name has some value to it. And I didn't want to do that because I was a very humble guy, and I didn't want to put my name out there like I'm bragging, but they convinced me to do that. So I converted that Shank Smokehouse into Johnny Rivers Smokehouse after we did the Smoky Bones and the Bahama Breeze. I have restaurants at the airports. I'm partners with OTG, a very large food restaurant company. Partners with Master Concession, they're in Miami with that. I have another partnership that I recently formulated with a company called Florida Trade Group, and they're an awesome group to be with. And we're looking at all this international development with products and things. But I got caught up with some projects in Africa that put me off on another path. I mean, if you look around, I'm a Afrocentric person here. I love the cultures and things of different cultures all over the world, and me working in Africa and China and some of the other countries around the world, I fell in love with the authenticity and the artistic value of all these different countries and what they brought. But if I'd have stayed focused with what I do the best, and that's restaurants and food, I think today I would have had much higher level of success that I can claim. Inglor was a company that I established because JR International was a tough word to pronounce in other languages, in French, Portuguese, China, Japan. When you say JR International, and that's what the name of my company, so we changed it and rebranded to Inglor. That's the parent company. Feedwell means Feedwell. F-E-D-W-E-L was a terminology that meant feed well, and that's our USDA and FDA food production facility. And we're trying to be known as a facility globally that cares about healthier food. We're trying to do away with all of these preservatives and stuff that you eat and put into food in order to keep it lasting longer. I don't know whether you know it or not, but all this citrus acid and stuff they do in food, matter of fact, and you can look this up, but arsenic is it can be legal to eat in some cases, depending on what percentage of arsenic that you put in it. And I'm telling you that it's pathetic that they would do something like that, but there's so many different ingredients that people put in food that is as dangerous as poison. I love nature. I think everything in the world deserves an opportunity, special animals. I don't like killing rats. I think you should take them and let them go. They were here before we were. I got a big snake that lives in the back there. I love cactus. You've been in my backyard. I mean, I've got 85, almost 100 variety of cactus. But I'm just a nature lover. I love, I like to sleep out on the porch sometime rather than inside. But I think every day I wake up, it's a blessing. I love fish tank. I'm a sea lover. I have all different kinds of nature. I'm a certified diver. I'm a certified diver. My wife is, and our son, Robbie, he got certified when he was 12, and all of my kids swim, and we love the ocean. We love all the nature that God gave us. Well, I started putting together what I call legacy: faith, family, and food. This is something that I did that I have in volume 1. I'm going to do 3 volumes of this, but it's talking about something that I want to leave for my kids, grandkids, and our relatives and friends behind, because a lot of people ask me questions like you've asked me, Brandon, and it's tough for me to sit there and express that and make it sound like I'm bragging and all that. I'm really not. I'm just been blessed to have had so many experiences, good, bad, and sad. And I just wanted to put a little bit together to kind of share this with my family mostly and close friends. And this book that you see here with all of the different kinds of things in here, Brandon, it talks a little bit about my life and my kids' life, volume 1. But the next volume we're going to get is going to get deeply more involved to, the individual family, my sons and my daughter and their family, and different sides of that, on my father's side, my mother's side, I mean, we have 17 nationalities in our family, 17 plus. And that's I think that's how God wanted this world to be. We're such a diverse family, and we have so much love to share, and I think that what we want to do is every day, every chance we get, is just try to share a little kindness. Don't have to be money you give people, just a kind word every now and then. This is my wife, Kasserina, the woman that puts up with me and been by my side through thick and thin, and I love her dearly.
Hi there, my name is Cassie, and I'm Johnny's wife, and my job is to take care of my wonderful husband, and I'm thinking I'm doing a pretty good job. Yeah.